Hello, what's up everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and I am still doing my 31 days of horror movie reviews, and we are going to continue with the Omen series, but this time I just watched Damien, the Omen 2. This movie came out in 1978, not directed by Richard Donner once again, unfortunately, but it was directed by Don Taylor. And the plot is, it's been 6 or 7 years, I think, since the events of the last movie, and you see Damien has now been taken by the brother of Robert Thorne. This is Richard Thorne. So him and his wife have taken Damien in to raise him along with their son. So Damien's now older. He's in military school. He seems relatively normal at times, especially after what happened to his adopted parents, but then he has his moments. He has his moments of being weird, of being quiet, of being sort of evil, and people around him die like before. Now, what I thought of Damien the Omen 2 is, man, I gotta be honest, I did not care for this movie. I didn't. And it's one of those situations where I got so sucked into that first movie, I got roped into it, I got creeped out by it. There was so much in my head after watching the first movie. Now the sequel, as I almost don't want to continue this franchise. There was so much that if you had to do a sequel, I'm now electing that there probably wasn't a great sequel possible for this movie to live up to the first one, and even the ending of the first one with the kid turning at the camera and smiling like a little asshole. So I thought naturally, oh, well, he's holding the hands of the president, so maybe we're going to see Damien in the White House. In fact, the original script, or at least the original idea, was that Damien would be in the White House with the president, and come on. How does that not sound interesting? Somebody turned it down, though. So instead, they started from scratch. In fact, they originally hired Mike Hodges as the director of the movie. And during production, meaning while he was shooting the film, he got fired because supposedly producers thought that the movie he was making was way too slow. And we see when that happens today, when the director gets fired mid-production, everybody loses their minds, right? And everybody freaks out about the movie and the quality of it and what could be going wrong. After watching this, though, I wonder what they were talking about, because this new director, Don Taylor, who I'm not saying he's a bad director, it's just, it's not like what he did was all that fast-paced. This was still pretty slow, at least in my opinion. This still had a lot of characters that I did not give a fuck about. The new parents, the brother of Robert, you had Richard Thorne and you had his wife, Anne Thorne, William Holden and Lee Grant. These two, I did not care about. I didn't. They were, at least the first half, they were hardly in the movie. And then by the time stuff starts to happen, and by the time they get warned about Damien, by the time Richard becomes proactive and tries to do something about Damien, it's way too late for me to care about him. They were in denial for so long with all of this evidence in their face that I just thought you were dumb. Dumb. I did not care what happened to any of you towards the end. And especially, I might as well mention this now, there is a weird fucking twist at the end of the movie where you find out that the adopted mother, the new adopted mother, she was subservient to Damien. She, I guess, is a follower of the devil. And it's a weird twist of when Richard's trying to tell her, hey, look, we have to kill him, here are the daggers to do it. She just turns around and stabs her husband, and then says, I was with Damien all along. Basically, that's what she does. And then Damien just sets her on fire. What? It felt so forced to have that twist and reveal with her character if it does not amount to anything. And it did not amount to anything. Damien, he is played by Jonathan Scott Taylor, who, he was fine. He had no emotions. I guess he's not supposed to be. He's the Antichrist. But it does answer my questions about Damien in the first movie as far as how much was he aware of what he was doing. Was he being evil on purpose? And I guess not. Or I guess there are big parts of him that are human and not realizing that he was evil, because it's this movie where he does find out he's the Antichrist. He freaks out about it at first, but then really quickly accepts it. He has this really creepy guy, Paul, who just sort of gives him these long speeches about how you're destined to be basically evil and get ready for it. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Cousin Mark, who's the actual son of Richard and Anne, and I thought that character could have been something bigger. There were moments with him that I liked. There were moments with him where he obviously, at a certain age, grew up with Damien almost like a brother, and they were close. And there was moments where Damien would do freaky stuff and he would question it, but you just would move on. And I thought they could have made him just as much the main character, if not more of the main character, to Damien, so that we had a real person to relate to connect to sympathize with, to watch a kid who's watching somebody like his brother, his cousin, do these evil things, but he can't explain it. He doesn't want to think that he's evil, or that there are moments where they are close, but then there's other moments where he doesn't recognize him. You could have done something with that. There's a moment between the two where Mark figures out or hears what Damien is and gets freaked out by him, and Damien feels bad about it but kills him with his psychic powers. That's another thing. What are the powers of Damien? He's somehow able to kill people just by looking at them. All throughout the movie you have a bunch of black crows. Sylvia Sidney, the actress, the aunt, it gives her a heart attack, and that just, it wasn't creepy. It wasn't scary. It didn't come off creepy at all. The other scene where the other crow attacks the lady in the middle of the road and pecks the hell out of her, it looked silly as fuck, and it made her look dumb when she just runs out in front of a truck and gets hit by it and somehow lands on top of the roof of the truck, although it didn't look real at all. And the score, once again, by Jerry Goldsmith. I was shocked to read that it was still Jerry Goldsmith, because the original score was haunting and creepy. It amplified all of those scenes and moments that normally could have been dumb and silly, but he made it creepy. These moments, it was just standard, or more of the same. It wasn't anything that brought anything up. I will say the only creepy scenes in the movie, there were a couple. The scene at the very beginning where you see the archaeologist, played by Leo McKern, who was in the first movie. He knew stuff about Damien and Antichrist and how to kill him. He told the Robert character that. So this movie, he's telling someone else, hey, this kid's still alive. We have to go and find the box that has everything. And they go underground. And then they get suffocated by all of the rocks and debris that just bury them alive. That was creepy just because I have a fear of being buried in anything alive. I will admit that one scene where Damien completely bitches out and embarrasses the teacher in front of the whole class, when the teacher's trying to call him out and ask him all these questions, ask him the dates of when these people died and when this war happened, and Damien's just like, fuck you, I know this, you suck, this is easy, I know everything, I'm smarter than you. That's basically what he's saying every time he answers a question like that. That was pretty amusing. You almost wish there was even more of that. Lance Hendrickson is a sergeant at this military school, and he somehow is involved as well, or he knows things about Damien, or he too could have been a part of the cult. Or there was a moment in the film where they tried to recreate David Warner's death in the first movie where he gets his head cut off. They had this doctor in an elevator getting his body cut in half, and it looked silly. It looked so over the top. They tried to give it that gravitas and that level of tension and shock as that death in the first movie, and it doesn't. It pales in comparison. So much about this movie seemed like a waste of time, and even by the end of the film, I just thought, wow, we're basically right back at the same spot that we was at the beginning or the end of the first movie. What the fuck? Honestly, I did not have a good time with Damien Omen 2. It's not that good, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the Omen 2? Do you disagree? Do you like it? Or do you agree that it's just very lackluster? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!
Swimming in beers, I've been through it all, let me trickle a tear. In case you didn't know, I was living sarcastic. A motherfucking monster, something Jurassic. Had to wrap the whole entire bed in plastic. She wants bitch dance when she fucking with raptors. Killing and adrenaline, I'm sipping on the 4-0. Listen by a whole entire motherfucking torso. Oh, what a rush, sniffing some more blow. Let the bitch bleed and I'm making a porno. I'ma keep it going a few times, raw.